Hi, I'm Susan Keefe from Rhubarb and Cod, and today I'm making creamy lentil stew with oyster mushrooms. If you're new to making stew from scratch, there are a lot of take-home lessons to be learned here. Soups and stews are great dishes to have in your arsenal because they can make a feast out of a very sad crisper drawer. So let's dive right in. Now, every soup and stew starts with some kind of fat, oil, butter, or animal fat. I'm using honey garlic sausages today, but if you're veg, you can sub it for a quarter cup of olive oil. Start by removing the casings from the sausage. You can do this right over the pot. Just make sure to keep the temperature low so the meat doesn't get away from you. Once you have all the sausage meat in the pot, you just want to saute it until the meat is cooked through. Then use a slotted spoon and transfer it from the pot to a bowl and set aside. If you're planning on using olive oil, simply heat it in the bottom of the pot until shimmering. According to the will, the cats own the house. If you're planning on using olive oil, simply heat it in the bottom of the pot until shimmering. Now you're going to add your oyster mushrooms. You can carefully slice them. Next, we're going to add oyster mushrooms. You can carefully slice them. I really feel like I'm competing with a band. He was loud enough without the bell. We encourage healthy eaters in this house. Next, we're going to add oyster mushrooms. You can carefully chop them, but I prefer to tear them. Once the mushrooms are in the pot, leave them be. They won't caramelize properly if you toss them around too much. Just give them a few minutes on all sides to get a little color, then remove them from the pot and set aside. Okay, now it's time for the shallots. Most stew recipes call for something called a mirepoix. Did I say that right? Which is usually a member of the allium family. Think onions, leeks. These vegetables act as the flavor foundation for your overall stew. Onions, carrots, and celery are the classic French ingredients, but you can switch them up. For instance, it's much more common to use bell pepper instead of carrot in Cajun dishes. Today, I'm using a combination of shallots, leeks, and garlic. And you want to know why? It's because it's what I have in my fridge. That's the true beauty of a stew. So at this point, your pot might be a little dry, so add a little olive oil to keep things going. Add 3 shallots halved and sliced to the pot and keep the temperature low. You just want to sweat them. You don't want to brown them. Add a pinch of salt and saute until softened. The secret to creating flavorful soups and stews is to season throughout the cooking process. Seasoning well comes with practice, but a good way to tell if you're over or underdoing it is to taste throughout as well. Once the shallots are softened, am I saying shallots or shallots? I obviously haven't picked a side. Once the shallots are softened, add your leek. Your leek should be halved lengthwise and sliced. Leeks grow in sandy areas, so there tends to be a lot of grit between the layers. That's why I prefer to cut them first and then rinse them under cold water. It's the best way to banish grit. Just remember to cut your leeks last. Your cutting board will be sandy afterwards. So once the leeks are in, you're going to, once again, saute until softened. And then we're going to add 4 cloves of garlic minced. You just want to saute the garlic until fragrant. This shouldn't take more than 30 seconds. Garlic, particularly minced garlic, likes to burn. So once all the veg is happy, we're going to add 1 3/4 cups of lentils and toss to coat. I'm using green lentils because I like that they retain their shape after cooking. Add a half cup of dry white wine and deglaze the pot. That's just a fancy word for scraping up the caramelized bits at the bottom of the pot. Add 4 cups of veggie stock, 2 bay leaves, and 2 teaspoons of herbs de Provence. Bring the mixture up to a boil, then reduce to a simmer. Let the lentils cook uncovered for 25 to 35 minutes or until tender. Once the lentils are tender, place 2 cups of baby spinach in a food processor and blitz until it resembles mulch. Turn the food processor on and stream in 1 cup of heavy cream. Transfer the mixture to a bowl and set aside. We want to add this to the stew at the last possible moment so the spinach can retain that lovely color. Add 1 tablespoon of Dijon mustard and 2 tablespoons of red wine vinegar to the pot. Return the sausages and mushrooms, add the cream and spinach mixture, and bring the stew back up to temperature before removing from the heat. Garnish with fresh parsley and serve immediately. And that's it, creamy lentil stew with oyster mushrooms. A very simple recipe that can be adapted in a multitude of ways, and a technique that you can deploy to make classics such as minestrone or chicken noodle soup. Saute, deglaze, simmer, and serve. It's no more complicated than that. I hope you give this a shot, and if you do, let me know how it went in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. You ruined Mom's outro. I have one line left, really? And if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Thanks for cooking with me. I'll see you next time.